Peter Schiff, Lou Rockwell makes a great point, and this has always fascinated me. Is it possible that the Fed has actually been conducting its own foreign policy through the transfers of enormous amounts of wealth to central banks of other countries, and we don't even know about it? And is it possible that the Fed's foreign policy might even be at odds with what the popularly elected Congress and president have decided our foreign policy is?
I mean, I suppose anything is possible. I mean, who knows what's going on behind closed doors? I mean, in general, if we're going to have a Fed, it should be independent because we want to keep the printing presses away from the politicians. But in practice, they're not independent. They're doing the politicians' bidding. They're helping everybody get reelected. But who knows? You know, I've often wondered, you know, why is it that all these foreign central banks are propping up the dollar? I don't know. Maybe they're getting paid from some secret accounts from the Fed. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I don't know why the Chinese or the Japanese are doing some of the things that they're doing, because it certainly isn't in the interest of their own people. It's in the interest of preserving the phony American economy that eventually is going to come crashing down. And the longer they keep it propped up, the harder it's going to fall, and the harder it's going to be to build it back up.
Lou Rockwell, will we ever return in the lifetime of any of the three of us or any of the many people watching and listening to us now to the gold standard, to a commodity standard, to sound money? Or are we just doomed to having worthless pieces of paper in our pocket, the value of which are controlled in secret by 7 people in a fortress-like structure in Washington, D.C.?
Judge, I think there's no question that people listening to your show will be alive when we have a gold standard again. I mean, the Fed, of course, has always been political. It can't be independent. As Nixon's Fed chairman Arthur Burns said, he had to do what the president had ordered him to do, otherwise the Fed would have lost its independence, by which they meant the way they can live it up, of course. So, I mean, it's the Fed, of course, is political. It's always been political. It can't be independent. It shouldn't be independent. It shouldn't exist. It's unconstitutional. It's immoral. It's an economic engine of destruction. We have to abolish the Fed, and, of course, this is Ron Paul's new book, End the Fed.
Right.
Well, we can't abolish the Fed, though, and just turn over its functions to new government agencies that will abuse the power even more, that will create even more.
Its functions should be turned over to the private sector, to the free market.
Well, yes, but that would mean going back to honest money, taking the power of of money creation away from the government, which was what our founding fathers envisioned when they created the country.
Couldn't agree with you more. Do you agree with Lou's prediction? Because there are some young people watching us now, that this could happen in the lives of people watching us.
It's going to happen in the people's lives regardless of what the government does. Gold is going up. It's at another new high again today. It's over 1,100 an ounce. As it continues to go higher, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500. Americans are going to realize that their money is losing value if they keep it in paper. They're going to watch their cost of living going up, and people are going to vote with their feet, as you said, for their money, and people are going to start saving gold. They're going to start transacting in gold, and maybe the government's going to make it a crime. Maybe they'll start locking people up who transact in gold. I don't know, but the public will eventually seek out sound money. It's Gresham's law. You know, bad money chases out good money. Nobody is going to want to use currency when there's gold.
We get back to the Constitution, Lou. I mean, you know history better than most people I know. FDR, on his own, by signing a piece of paper in March 1933, made it a crime for people to own gold at a time when 3/4 of the population owned something that was made of gold. And then 3 weeks later, the Congress said, oh, we're the ones that are supposed to write the laws. We better make what the president just did lawful. Now, it was unlawful for the president to do it, and it was unlawful for the Congress to authorize the president to do it, but they did it anyway. They got away with it, and we suffer from it even unto the present day.
And Judge Richard Nixon, of course, also by his own say-so in The Act of a Dictator, ended the final ties to gold on August 15, 1971. He finished the evil work that Franklin Roosevelt began. And so we ended up with for the first time in world history, a total discretionary monetary policy for the whole globe. And we've had much trouble since. We've got much more trouble in store because of the Federal Reserve and its subsidiary central banks.
And where was the Supreme Court? That is the real problem. Those are the real enemies. They shouldn't just be wearing black robes. They should be wearing hoods and masks, because these guys have really abdicated their authority. They were put here to keep the government in line, to make sure the government abides by the laws and abides by the Constitution, and they have done nothing.
There's 2 legal tender cases from the early 20s. The first says 9-0. The Congress can't interfere with the monetary standard. The other says 9-0. The Congress can. The same court ruling exactly the opposite way. We will probably never know from history what happened in the year space of time between those two opinions. Piers Schiff from Euro-Pacific Capital and Lew Rockwell from the Mises Institute. It's a pleasure, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. You can catch today's show on foxnews.com/freedomwatch and on Sirius 145, XM 168, or online at foxnewstalk.com at 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. From New York, defending freedom. Until the next time, stay free, America.